presenting to you the topic, the invisible AI, invisible artificial intelligence. The core idea of this is to pull back the curtain on the artificial intelligence systems that we often interact with, sometimes unknowingly, every day, from maybe streaming recommendations to fraud detection. Please, the first slide first. Still the first slide. I've not finished the first slide. So basically, we'll be looking at how we'll be looking at the machine learning models that power our world. And when we hear basically about artificial intelligence, AI, what comes to our mind is we all often think of humanoid, okay, robots, or maybe futuristic sci-fi. But the reality is that artificial intelligence is already deeply integrated into our daily routines, working silently in the background. Today, of course, we are going to explore the invisible artificial intelligence, AI, that powers the tools we use every day in our life. We'll be looking at how these systems work at a high level, the incredible impact they have, of course, and the important challenges they present as well. Because obviously, what has advantage must, have disadvantage as well. So our goal this morning is to understand not just what they do, but how they shape our experiences and decisions. So basically, what you're looking at here is is actually a collage of, say, smartphone applications, that is streaming service interfaces, okay? And you have a credit card detection there. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the digital firehorse drowning in choices. Netflix has, of course, thousands of titles. How do you choose what to watch is a challenge. Online stores like Amazon have millions of products. How do you find what you need is also a challenge. Your emails inboxes, for example, will get, say, hundreds of messages. Which one are so important to you? These are the things we'll look at. So we are looking at what we are seeing on our screen here is a kind of chaotic image of persons overwhelmed by flood of applications, icons, emails, and movie posters. Okay. So digital world has given us unprecedented access to informations, of course, entertainment, products. But this abundance comes with a huge or high challenges, like I mentioned before, choice of overload. Okay. Now, without help, finding a movie to watch or a product to buy online from maybe Amazon, for example, can be a paralyzing experience for us sometimes. And products. But of course, this is where artificial intelligence now steps in, not to make the choice for us, basically, but it will act as a guide for us. Okay. Now, companies like this, Netflix, Amazon, and so on, will face this exact challenge or problems. How do they keep users engaged and satisfied when there is just too much to sift through? This is something that artificial intelligence help us to do. Next slide, please. So this is artificial intelligence AI solution number one, the hyper-personalized recommender. This is what it does. Now, look at collaborative filtering and content-based filtering. That's number one method. And how it works. Users who like this also like that. Of course, for example, this movie has a similar maybe actor or generic to what you have watched before. Real world impact. Netflix saves like 1 billion, $1 billion per day, per year, annually by reducing chunk, like 80% of watch content comes from recommendations. So Amazon's, of course, drives like 35% of total sales by recommender, artificial intelligence. Now, so this is a diagram. Look at this diagram here. It is a diagram showing user A here and user B with overlapping interests leading to a recommendation for user B. So the workhorse here is the recommender system. Of course, there are two main approaches. First, collaborative, like I mentioned before, system, filtering, which is the digital version of asking a friend with similar tastes. It finds patterns in users' behavior across millions of people. The second content-based filtering, which analyzes the actual items you have interacted with, like the genre of movies you've watched, and finds similar items in the catalog. So the results are staggering, of course. For Netflix, it's not just a nice feature per se, it's just a core of their business model, saving them millions, billions, of course, in customer retentions. It is the reason you often find your next favorite show without even searching for it. Next slide, please. Solution two, artificial intelligence solution. Number two, the fraud detector. The fraud detector. The problem, of course, we always have is that we all know this, that billions of daily transactions, fraudsters are getting smarter by the day. The old way, what is the old way or the old method is simple. You say, simple rule-based systems, let's say so, say block. There's always this, sometimes last year or previous years, they will say, okay, block transactions that is, over or above $500 in a foreign country. If you want to make transfer to foreign countries, they will say any transaction, for example, that is above $500, please block it. Sure and easy to bypass. But what is AI doing here? The AI solution here is that real-time anomaly decision using graph neural networks. That is what AI is doing here. So AI, the result is it will increase fraud capture by 30 to 50% without increasing false positives. That is the work of AI. So this is what AI has done for us. In the old system, the transaction cannot go beyond $500. That is how they were used in detecting fraudsters. But with the help of AI, that is, they can use graph neural networks to analyze relationships in milliseconds, not just amounts, but patterns. That is what AI does for us. So now let's look at a network graph here with nodes, that is accounts and edge transactions. And this is highlighting a suspicious cluster in red here. So you see a fraud here, you see suspect here. So let's switch gears from maybe shopping, from shopping to banking. Every second, millions of credit cards transactions occur worldwide. That's we know. The old way to catch fraud was with this simple rule I mentioned before. But these are rigid, and fraudsters, of course, every day they learn how to bypass this. They learn to game them. What is bank doing now? So the modern banks, of course, use a form of artificial intelligence called anomaly, to detect any fraudulent activities. They build a graph of your financial network. And from that, they will know who you pay, who pays you, how much and when. That is what they will know with this artificial intelligence. When a new transaction, of course, occurs, please see the last slide. So when the new transaction occurs here, so a model like this graph neural network, of course, what it does, it will help to analyze it in milliseconds. It can spot, of course, within minutes, if this transaction is out of character, not just by, say, amount, but by its connections in the network. So this has led, of course, to a dramatic 30 to 50% improvement in caching, those who think they are smart, meaning fewer false alarms for us and less money lost. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so now we'll be looking at the unseen danger, bias, filter, bubbles, and privacy. Now, this is the challenges or the problem that we also have. Like I mentioned before, anything that has advantage will definitely have disadvantage. But sometimes we will always look at weigh in the advantages. Is it more than the disadvantages? Then we now go for it. So please see the last slide. So bias, algorithmic bias, a hiring, maybe algorithm trained personnel or persons, on past data might learn to discriminate against women, for example, if the company historically hired mostly men. This is one of the disadvantages. So filter bubbles, recommender system can create an echo chamber, only showing you content that reinforces your existing views. Now, when it comes to privacy, these systems, of course, require a massive amount of personal data to function. So what you are looking at here, the three icons you are looking at here, are representing the three risks: a bias scale, a person in say a bubble, and an eye with a lock. For all their benefits, this invisible artificial intelligence come with significant risk. Like I mentioned before, they are not objective. They learn from our own imperfect human data. That's what it does. So if we train, say, resume screening, for example, artificial intelligence on a company's historical hiring data, it would learn and automate past biases, potentially excluding maybe qualified candidates from unprecedented groups. So if the company is biased about women, for example, what they will do is just to make sure that they program the artificial intelligence to discriminate women. So that is one of the disadvantages. The second one is recommender systems, of course, by trying to keep us engaged, can then trap us in filter bubbles where we are only, say, maybe exposed to information that aligns with our existing beliefs. And that, of course, will polarize our worldwide. Now, finally, I would say the fear for all this is our personal data. This raises serious, of course, serious, would I say, privacy concern or privacy questions about what data is collected, how it is used, and who has access to it. This is a concern that we all have. Next slide, please. Next slide. So, conclusions and takeaways. Living with our invisible partners. Living with our invisible partners. Artificial intelligence, of course, is not a future concept. That we know. It is a present day tool. It has come to stay. It provides immense value by solving problems of scale and complexity. It does that for us. But then, however, it is a tool that requires careful oversight. You see, the responsibility lies with all of us, everybody, as users, developers, and maybe voters, whatever we think of, to demand fairness, transparency, and privacy. So you see this image here. This image you're seeing here is, would I say, an image of a human hand and a robotic hand reaching towards each other. So the next time you get a great movie recommendation or your bank flags a suspicious charge, remember the complex artificial intelligence working behind the scenes. This, of course, these systems are powerful partners. They are very powerful partners, but they are not magic. They are built by humans and trained on human data, which means they can be just as flawed as we are, because no human is perfect. That's we know. So as we move forward, the challenges isn't just building smarter artificial intelligence, but building artificial intelligence that is fair, accountable, and respects our privacy. So I will conclude by saying the responsibility for us is to make sure that we rest, that the future rests with all of us. So we know our future. We try to manage our future. and we know what artificial intelligence can do. So in this case, we have to be very careful with our system. Thank you, and God bless you.
All right, thank you very much, Umori. I don't know if anyone have questions for him before we proceed to the next presenter. If you have any question for him, kindly use the reaction